using the medium of swing dancing. So it's not intended to be a specific lesson on footwork or how to dance, unless you want it to be. Um, and the way that I normally teach this is as a one-on-one type of thing, because I need to be the one to actually provide the physical sensations for how the exploration works. But for the purposes of this, I would like to demonstrate it for the audience, and for that I would need a volunteer who would like to. All right. And so for the
Should I take off my shoes?
however you would like, however you want.
I think it will probably like have
Yeah,
less friction.
And it's a bit noisy here with shoes.
Okay.
And so yeah, after this initial demonstration will be maybe 10 minutes ish, and then after that I will have open office hours for anyone who would like to experience the lesson one-on-one. Okay, so when we talk about boundaries, I think there are a lot of people. A lot of people have an assumption of, the most common phrasing of boundaries is as a wall, as a defensive measure, as something that we use to protect ourselves. Or from the opposite perspective, from the perspective of someone on the opposite side of the barrier, of the boundary, a rejection. And I think that is a useful and necessary way that we use boundaries. But I think there is also another way that we can use boundaries, which maybe people aren't as familiar with. And that's what I'm going to explore here. Boundaries not as a rejection, not as a defensive measure, but boundaries as feedback, as communication, as a way to collaboratively create something new. So that's what I would like you to keep in mind when we start this. So, West Coast Swing is a dance based on a push and pull connection. So what I would like you to do, put your hands, have your hands connected like this, and what I'm just going to do is lean forwards, and I feel that you are also leaning forwards to match my push. And then if I lean backwards, we come back to center, and push forwards again. Okay, good. So what I would like you to do, now you can initiate the leaning forward, and watch what happens if I collapse my arms here. How does that feel for you?
Like I need to push more, and you're not leaning forward. You're not doing the thing that I expected you to do.
Yes. So if I am collapsing my arms here, I am. Well, okay. So just to step back for a bit. My intention, if I push forward, is to move my follower with some specific motion.
I see.
Yeah. So there's an intention there. There is an intention to move, and then if you are pushing me, then you also have an intention to move me. Mm-hmm. And if I allow that to happen, if I allow myself to be pushed too much, go ahead, then there's no feedback. So I am not offering any resistance. I am not rejecting her intention. And some people would say, oh, this is what a follower should be doing, right? The follower should allow the leader to do whatever they want and just be very receptive to what they're doing. But if I don't resist, then you don't get any feedback, and then you feel that you're kind of just flailing in midair. There's emptiness. And what happens when I give feedback? Yeah, you feel there's immediately a difference. Mm-hmm. And so some people might interpret this as, I mean, this might look a bit aggressive, like we're pushing or wrestling a match, trying to push each other. But what I'm doing is creating resistance. What I'm doing is creating feedback, and you feel that feedback when you are giving your push.
Right.
And so it is not.
I feel like I need to move backwards myself rather than move you backward.
Okay. All right. So that is what that creating, so when I am receiving that boundary, I am creating resistance, but it is not necessarily a rejection of your original intention. Okay, so let's move to another type of connection in West Coast. So what we just had was the push connection, and now the West Coast, the other side, is the pull connection. So we can go.
I don't know how to do West Coast.
Okay. So if you feel, if I'm in a pull connection, we're leaning away from each other. And you can feel that, well, I guess if we go to the push connection and we go to the pull connection, there is this tension here. Let's see. Okay, and for the purpose of West Coast Swing, one of the things that I would be doing, actually, yeah, if you would be leading this, you would be moving backwards, and you would be bringing me with you. So you would be initiating an intention for you to come towards me.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, feel that? Okay. And so now notice what happened. Do that again. Notice what I'm doing here. And you feel that there's a bit of resistance. I am leaning my weight back, and so it feels like I'm resisting that pull.
Yeah, like I need to pull harder before I move you.
Yes. And now, if I don't do that, if I do something completely different,
You're very easy to move.
yes. And how does that feel in terms of getting feedback and communication and your intention?
My intention was to get you to move towards me, and in the first scenario where you gave me more resistance, like I calibrated, okay, this is how much I generally need to pull Harry in order for him to get to move. And then in the second case, like I just felt that I need to pull you a lot less hard before you can move.
And okay, let's try that again. Again, so this one is the high resistance,
Okay?
but I'm still coming here.
Right.
I'm just giving a lot of resistance before coming. Whereas on the opposite way,
Yeah, so basically, like I felt that when you have give me more resistance, there is constant tension in our arms, whereas in the second scenario, like you kind of just like moved on your own, and I had less control of you.
yes, and that's the key there. Where if I am essentially like making the action on my own, then you don't feel any of your own agency in terms of the action that you're trying to make, that you're actually trying to make happen. And when we have this tension, we can there's so much more information that we can use to calibrate. Mm-hmm. So I can lighten the tension, but keep the tension there, and there's still communication there. And I can increase it to a point where it's very strong. And we use that information to calibrate the action. So that is the case that is showing where in this case, I'm the follower. I am still I'm using this resistance to create a boundary of I am resisting the motion of being moved, but I'm not rejecting it. Mm-hmm. I'm actually using that resistance to give more feedback and to give more communication so that we can calibrate to each other. Okay, it might be a little bit, that might be a little bit hard to understand when you're not actually feeling it with your hands. But I will go on to the next part of it, which is, so what I was just showing there is that in that case I was following, and I was having my own intention to hold my ground and give that feedback, give that resistance. And that's where, and the counter example I was doing earlier, where if I was just like not offering any resistance at all, just letting myself be led completely with no resistance, there was not as much communication, there's not as much feedback. So that is showing the follower needs to have intention. It needs to have intention to hold. It needs to have intention to give that resistance with confidence. And so now, as the leader, the information that I'm giving here, like I was just mentioning, you're calibrating how much strength you feel in that connection based on the amount of feedback that I'm giving. And so if I have very little but still some, you can calibrate to that. And if I have very strong, then we can calibrate to that. And so what the leader has to do in this case now is listen to how much resistance the follower is giving. The leader should be calibrating to that. And if you calibrate, if the leader is giving an incorrect amount, I can lead here. If you give me very light resistance, and I just and I pull very strongly, I'm not calibrating very well to the amount of resistance that my follower is giving me. And that feels unnatural, that feels as poor communication. Or if you get very strong resistance, and I give very little, then it also feels hesitant, feels awkward, and it also is a poor calibration. And so now what's happening is, as a leader, I need to be receptive to what my follower is giving. I need to be listening. And so you might notice what's happening here is, I just said, the follower needs to have intention. The follower needs to hold the ground with intention and with confidence to know what they want to do. And the leader needs to be the one who is listening and being receptive. And that is where we're flipping the script. Usually the follower is the one who's supposed to be receptive, and the leader is the one that's supposed to have intention. But in fact, both roles both leader and follower need to both have intention and receptiveness. And actually what's going on is, it's actually, once you're in the dynamic, it's actually like a very fluid mode where both people are doing both roles at the exact same time. And there's not really a leader and follower at that point, because both people are listening to each other and calibrating to each other and adapting to each other and creating something based on what the other person is providing. And so that is where, and that's all comes from the basis of having boundaries.
Sorry.
Because when we hold our boundaries, we create that communication, and then we listen to that communication and adjust to it and calibrate to it, and that's what creates the collaboration. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What should be the follower's intention be in this case? So, in Lindy Hop, like I have been told. So I like, for context, I am a follower in Lindy Hop, and what I have been told is many times is like, don't move until your leader moves you. And like, so inferring from that, like I think as a follower, my intention is to stay where I am and like create some resistance until I am moved by my leader.
Yes.
Is that the same in West Coast swing? Like, is my intention just to stay where I am?
There's a short answer. The short answer is yes, but there's actually a longer answer, which I'm going to start out with a little bit unusual. If you think about Dungeons and Dragons, your intention. Okay, if you are the DM, the Dungeon Master in Dungeons and Dragons, well, the people who are playing, the players, the characters in Dungeons and Dragons, they are the ones who are actually acting on the story. They're the ones who are like, being on the storyline, like they're the ones slaying the dragons. They're the ones who are actively asserting their agency on the story. But the Dungeon Master is the one who's creating the realm of possibility of where the characters are allowed to go. And the dungeon master is the one who they put the intention into shaping the landscape, the environment. And that is actually what your intention should be as a follower, is shaping the landscape of where you are allowing the leader to lead. So, and the leader, the job of the leader is to be receptive to that and listen to that and play within the boundaries that you have created, and not overbear, like push through them, and so they should be calibrated to that. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
It is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, like it's not the intention as a follower. I do think of it as a little bit of a game, where it's not just like you have a lot of agency as the follower to make the leader do what you want, which is a bit counterintuitive. Like you're not the one who is initiating the actions, but you have a lot of control of, you want to get the leader to calibrate to you. So you can you're testing them in some way.
Okay.
Okay. Would anyone else like to experience what this feels like?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
Oh, well, I do have a question.
Yes.
Is how do you, so if you have like the rhythm of like a dead fish, how do you learn how to like get better at rhythm? You have like tips for like developing a strong sense of body rhythm?
I mean, that's definitely I don't know, listen to a lot of music and just like try to tap to the beats, and I think that's definitely a skill I would consider to be just being familiar with music. I don't know if I have specific advice on that.
Sure.
Okay.
So push first?
Yes, and push first. And then you'll feel that calibration. Okay, yes, I'm feeling strength from you. And then watch what happens if I collapse that. Okay, and then if I give more strength here. Yes, so you don't actually feel like you're not receiving.
So actually I get strong here?
So what you want to do is calibrate.
Calibrate, okay.
Yes. And I will slowly reduce my strength, and then I can feel you increasing as in response to my decreasing.
Yeah.
But now I feel that you're also decreasing. So now this is a pretty light connection.
Okay.
And then I increase it again. Yes. So when I increase, you should also increase.
I gotcha. So we keep it at a balance.
Yes.
Okay. My instinct is when you loosen up, I push more, and when you push more, I loosen up. So that's exactly what I should not do.
It's very common to want to do that.
Okay.
Because as I was saying, if I release tension, it's often if you don't feel you're getting resistance, a common reaction to that is, oh, this person isn't giving me any feedback. I need to do more to control what they're doing. And so that's a very common reaction.
Gotcha.
And then the opposite of that is, oh, this person isn't giving me any feedback. I need to be very shy, and I don't want to make them do something comfortable. So I'm also going to be very loose. And then you just kind of like nothing. So that's why holding my boundary, giving my feedback, giving my resistance is important. Okay. And then we're going to go to the pole connection. So yeah, your action is going to be to walk backwards, and then if you come this way a little, see some good. And then I'm going to resist that as you walk backwards. But I do come with you with this. If you do it again, it's intention increasing, and then I come.
Okay.
And then if you do that again, now there's no resistance at all.
Yeah, you didn't even wait.
And so, how does that feel in terms of the amount of communication that you get?
That was less receptive, less information.
Yeah, so even though I'm following exactly, when I'm not resisting, I'm doing exactly what your intention is.
Yeah, I felt sad when.
And what I can also do is adjust to a little bit of a middle ground here.
Mhm.
So I was giving a little bit of resistance, but not a whole lot. And now I'm going to go very high resistance. And so actually, what you want to do here as a leader is notice the amount of resistance I'm giving, and then calibrate to that. Okay, that felt good. Yes. Okay, so that was very light, but there was a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Cool. Yes. Good.
Huh.
And we can also, I didn't quite get to this earlier, but the basic of West Coast swing is the combination of the push and pull. So I'm not sure if we'll have, maybe do it diagonally. But what's going to happen is we start with this, and then we compress.
Compress?
As actually, I'll leave this one. So what it would be like is a brain coming towards you, and then we're going to compress here.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a springing action that pushes back out.
Okay.
So you feel it here. Yes. And this is the very fundamental behind West Coast swing, is this springing action. You don't need to jump on it. But we can calibrate this, the strength of this spring, in both directions. So very strong pull, very strong push, or very light pull, and a very light push. And then from there, this is when we would do the rest of it. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else like to?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
do I need to wear socks?
Well, you don't have to.
Okay, so I can just go barefoot?
Yes.
So in your experience, do you see it's a negotiation, but do you see the lead as setting the level of pressure, or do you see the follow setting the level of pressure? Or do you not agree with the premise of the question?
I think it could. I would actually slightly lean towards. I would probably slightly lean towards the follower, but actually, it's very. I think that's very negotiable. I think really what happens is both people set an intention, and then if they're good, they will meet in the middle, and if they're bad, then they won't. Okay.
Okay.
So we can start with the push connection.
Oh, right, push, yes. Okay.
And then I will increase my strength, and I feel you decreasing. And what I do want you to do is to increase the match. Yes. Increase a little bit. Yes. And then feel what happens with you push, and I let clap.
Yes, that's correct. There's,
Feels like
there's Greek yogurt that's non-fat, there's
Flailing
Greek
almost.
yogurt.
It's unbalanced
There's
because
also regular like
giving
blended,
everything to
but not
Yes.
non-fat yogurt. There's protein Greek yogurt.
And
There's 2
the
grams
ball.
of sugar Greek yogurt.
So
Yes, you got a
Okay,
lot.
very
You
strong.
want everybody to have
that's a lot of
variety. And just so
resistance.
everybody knows, I'll tell everybody again, but just so everybody knows, there's like
Better.
5 bags of plain bagels on like a drawer next to the oven, and underneath
No, what
it, there's
happens
like
if there's
5 bags of different
nothing?
flavors.
Right.
And there's lots of different kinds of cream cheese too, and sparkling cheese. And bagels are from Kroger, they're specially selected. I've been on my feet for hours and I'm ready to sit down and work
And
on
then
my
would you like to
project.
go into the combination, the control?
Okay, so the whole, okay, all right, I got
And
it.
if you're the coolest place, yeah, basically. Usually. Not always.
Let's put a spring there.
Never.
Yes, I can feel it
There's
pretty
not
strong.
that much left.
I can do lightly up. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. harder for me.
So we use, you also like the spider.
I've been to Home Depot. There's 5 bags of plain bagels. There's 2 drawers to the right of the oven on the main floor. There's 5 bags of plain bagels.
Here.
And underneath it
And
is
right
5
there, you
bags
see
of
that?
flavored flavors.
And we're back to here.
There's flavored cream cheese, whipped cream cheese, white cream cheese, ready
Do
to go.
this again.
Put it all out of it.
Feel the
Yeah.
back here.
Okay, I just wanted to like, that way if somebody needed a snack or something.
Yes.
There's also crab tins. We also got cheese and meat, just in case.
Yeah.
No, am I leaving now suddenly?
You are leaving now. But, like, I didn't teach you any additional moves, but you can also just complete whatever you feel is comfortable based on the amount of action you have.
Okay.
I'll bring it all back.
Grab one.
Oh, I know, I always see, and I do that.
Really work?
It's like,
So you should do it.
Self-hypnosis.
Yes.
Those with this.
We got another poll?
So those that one.
Okay, I'll grab those.
And then all those. Oh, upstairs.
Take it on the second photograph.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to experience that? Okay.
I'm excited about this.
All right.
All right.
Push. And that.
Very grateful that you're jumping.
I think I need
Try to take charge of stuff.
Take a minute.
Take time to
So
say something.
what happens?
Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Okay. Very light.
Water, great. There's some sparkling water that I just put in the fridge. And I think that is like your filtered filtered water. Upstairs you can just do.
And so you can just get a sense of how what feels comfortable. Yeah.
But things to be.
And we'll go to the home.
okay.
Actually, in this case, I would be following so you can feel how that feels. Can you pull me? Okay.
Not trying to make it work so it's
No,
harder.
I, people have a hard time watching me, no feelings, but I don't. Okay, there's a big difference there. I've got to really lean in when you're leaning back like that.
Yes. So I have the lights. I can do that now.
Oh, yeah, that's disconcerting.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna calibrate to what I'm feeling.
You're a natural
And
healer.
then what we can try here is a bit of that negotiation where you set intention how much you want to pull, I send how much I want, and then we do it.
Okay. That's the coming in from both of us, right?
He has better receptive.
Or no, that's still me.
But
In this case, yeah.
Okay.
I can't look at it up there. That's the hard part, you know, like, I think his heart is not efficiently flowing.
Then would you like to go to,
Yeah.
so, for this one, yeah, actually, this is good for me, and I will feel how much you, okay? And then what's gonna happen is, we're going to come into a push here, until we feel.
Oh, okay.
My sister broke her arm.
And then that's going to spring you back out
Okay.
into the way. Yes.
But it was a rough day to begin with. Oh, that's cool.
What I would also like to advise here is you can take a few more steps when you're moving backwards. And let that-
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, then that puts more tension here.
Yes. So that's where, yeah, your momentum is what's doing that action, so it's creating the tension.
That's really cool.
And I'm going to, that's a little bit. And now what I want you to do is you choose how much tension you want and I will go.
Especially if you have the instrument.
Oh, I see.
Because my sister, it's really not
Josh,
about like
I'm
helping.
gonna lay down for 20 minutes. Can I go use the top floor bedroom that you were in?
Yes, I have stuff kind of scattered, but.
That's really cool.
And
Let's
then,
go swing with my daughter at the wedding.
let's use this connection here.
And I can't.
Same thing about it here.
I worked for a while.
Feel that? Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, there's one by like 13. Oh, yeah. It's not far from me. I worked with one, no. And then I was in high school I worked in.
Remember, you can choose how much you want. I dropped the couch today.
It's not comfortable for most people, but I kind of okay with it because they get, yeah, and when my grandmother, my dad's mom, the grandparent I was closest to, when she got
So the more I'm
sick,
pulling,
she was
the
in
more
a
I'm going to come
hospital.
back fast.
It was in Auburn Hills, it was in Farmington Hills, and my husband was.
And that will probably depend more on the song.
Okay.
But I mean, if we're just thinking about physics, then without trying to calculate the song, then
It was already gone, and he had like 5 brothers and sisters, and only one of them was going there assistantly. So when she died, they were like, "Thank you for doing all that." And I was
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
yes.
And I stopped thinking about it.
Yes.
That's the part, it's like I'm not trying to figure out what you're doing. I'm just feeling
Yes.
and I'm not getting the neocortex of the way.
Right.
Thank you. That's really cool. Let someone else have a turn?
I don't know if I still have plenty of time left, so.
Does somebody else want a turn? Yeah, give it.
Okay.
Throw on some music.
I actually don't have music because they don't have any music in here. But I mean, I assume you're leading.
Oh, I was gonna follow
trying
it.
to
Oh,
steer
okay.
a conversation, or even like my Ben would bring me the hair care and nail stuff, and she didn't want any of that. She wanted to sit and talk and just make cards down. So she was playing them, but I realized just playing them over and over. And so I really didn't need to bring anything. I just sat there and talked about it.
This is really weird and soft.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. You know, I was told like, let her have her baby. And that's all I could do. Yeah, I just be in there. Yeah, and she had come in back and like, you don't need your nurse, like she went back into their apartment.
I actually prefer following though, because
Yeah, I like both. I like both.
it's also fun.
Like,
Do you know the 360 whip, I think it's called?
Horrid, but
I don't think I could teach it. Basically, like it ends with the collar being dragged around like this.
his grandmother
Let me try to just follow your lead.
was going in for surgery, and his parents were like, "Oh, it's a minor thing, and there's so many people here anyway." And then he died, and he never got to say goodbye. So we had this
This is where you would.
spoken, actually, not
So like we go this way,
if anybody goes to us.
go here, and then this is where you would rotate on one foot.
Oh.
This is where you would
About
be.
whether or not we need.
Something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a lot of variants.
Yes.
I need to start rolling under shoot.